Sundar Pichai is the CEO of one of the most powerful brands in the world, Alphabet Incorporated, as well as its more well-known subsidiary company, Google. With a net worth more than $1 billion, Sundar's position and wealth are highly desired. However, his success story is not without its bumps and hurdles. So how did one man rise from obscurity and went on to become influential and highly sought after in the tech world? Well, let's find out. Humble beginnings. Sundar was born on the 10th of June in 1972 to Raghunatha and Lakshmi Pichai in the city of Madurai, India. His father Raghunatha worked as an electrical engineer for a major British industrial conglomerate known as General Electric Company, GEC. His mother, on the other hand, worked as a stenographer. The family lived in a cramped two-bedroom apartment, and Sundar would usually sleep in the living room along with his younger brother, Srinivasan Pichai. While growing up, there were some luxuries that Sundar was not able to enjoy. For instance, he couldn't watch television because the family didn't have one. But despite this, Sundar's father ensured that his sons were not lacking when it came to quality education, and for this, they were enrolled in good schools. Right from a young age, it was obvious that there was something unique about Sundar. He had a curious mindset and would often ask his father questions about his job as an engineer. Gradually, he began to develop a strong interest in technology. Sundar was also exceptionally intelligent, and this became obvious due to his ability to memorize and remember telephone numbers. His intelligence also shined through at a secondary school he attended. Former classmates remember him as a soft-spoken, meek, and shy boy who was rarely caught playing but rather focused his attention on his studies. He enjoyed studying so much that he would often read while on his way to school. But despite the amount of effort he put into his studies, he never came top of his class. The reason for this was that his passion for science-related subjects made him pay less attention to other subjects. However, he remained among the best students in school at the time. Time at Indian Institute of Technology. After his secondary school education, he went on to attend the Indian Institute of Technology in Tirupur. There, he studied metallurgical and materials engineering. Since Sundar was a South Indian boy, he didn't speak much Hindi, although he had learnt a little bit of the language before gaining admission into the school. Unfortunately, his incompetence in the language was exposed after he addressed someone using the term Abhishala. This was a derogatory word, but Sundar had no idea, as he simply thought it was a way everyone addressed each other. This incident caused an uproar because he had spoken the words out loud in a public hall where other students had gathered to eat. The hall even had to be shut down for a while due to how upset people were. Since that day, Sundar knew he had to be cautious with his words. Luckily, there were his studies and so much more to focus on, so the incident was soon forgotten and life went on. His first-year exams at IIT were not very impressive, and he knew that he had to work harder to get the results he wanted. So he put in the work, which could be seen in his future results as they were excellent. It's also worth noting that it was at IIT that he met 𝐦𝐤𝐤𝐤, who would later become his future wife. The two were classmates, and they soon developed a close friendship which eventually blossomed into a love affair. During his final year, Sundar proposed to 𝐦𝐤𝐤, and she agreed without hesitation. And not long after, Sundar finished his studies and earned his degree. As a matter of fact, he was top of his department and was even awarded the B.C. Roy Silver Medal, which was a special award given by the school to every top student of the engineering discipline. Dreaming big. Sundar saw his success at IIT as only the beginning. He had his sights set high and nothing was going to stop him. He planned on furthering his education by getting his master's degree and PhD at a university in the United States. He shared his aspirations with one of his college professors whom he was close with at the time. This professor had always been impressed with Sundar's academic excellence from the beginning, and he wasted no time in recommending him for admission at Stanford University. It wasn't long before the reply from the university came back. Sundar had been offered both admission and a scholarship by the university. His joy knew no bounds. Upon hearing this news, however, there was a problem. Sundar and his family did not have the money to afford his plane ticket. In the end, his father had to cough up equivalent of a year's salary to settle the flight bill. With this out of the way, Sundar packed his bags and went on to the United States to begin another phase of his life. He began pursuing his master's degree in engineering and material science, and before long, he had completed it as well. An unexpected detour. The next step which he envisioned he would make after the successful completion of his master's degree was undertaking his PhD. However, he decided not to go on with this idea and dropped out of the PhD program, much to the dismay of his parents, especially his father. He soon found work at Applied Materials as a product manager and engineer. When he became financially stable, he decided that it was time to settle down with his girlfriend 𝐤𝐤𝐤𝐤, who he had been in a long-distance relationship since he got to the United States. The two would often go as long as 6 months without talking, but this did not in any way affect their relationship, and instead strengthened the bond between them. Eventually, Sundar got married to 𝐤𝐤𝐤𝐤, and she moved down to the United States to be with him. At some point, Sundar knew that to advance in his career, he would have to further his education, and that's exactly what he did. He pursued an MBA from the Wharton School of University of Pennsylvania, and in 2002, he got his degree and was also honored by the school as a 𝐦𝐨𝐫𝐞 Scholar and Palmer Scholar. Starting at Google. From there, Sundar hit the ground running. He got a job as a consultant for a global management consulting firm called McKinsey & Company. In 2004, he applied for a product management position at Google. At the time, Google had just launched its email services, Gmail, and this had come up as a question during Sundar's interview for the role. He had been asked his thoughts about the newly launched email service, but since he had no idea what it was, he had to tell the interviewers the truth. He even thought Gmail was the company's idea of a joke because the interview had taken place on April Fool's Day. Well, he was shown the product and was later able to tell his interviewers what he thought about it and the ways it could be improved. Eventually, Sundar got the job and his journey with Google began. A timely prediction. Sundar and his team worked on the Google toolbar and its search engine, which at the time were default option in Microsoft's Internet Explorer. Sundar was a big thinker, and at some point, he believed that Microsoft would build its own search engine. He knew that if this happened, Microsoft would favor their own product over Google, and this was sure to affect the company. He expressed his concerns to his superiors and suggested that Google would build its own browser as a way to tackle this likely scenario. Eric Schmidt, who was Google's CEO at the time, turned down the idea. But Pichai didn't lose hope, and he went ahead to present the idea to Google's founders, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, who, in the end, approved it. He was given the go-ahead, and the development of the project, which is known today as Chrome, began in earnest. As predicted by Sundar, Microsoft developed its own search engine, Bing, which was then made the default search engine in Internet Explorer.
Bing! Bing.com is pretty much like Google, except instead of a plain white screen, the homepage shows a photo of the day. But here's the shocker. In a lot of ways, Bing is better than Google.
It was a big blow to Google, but Sundar was not entirely caught unaware. Within 24 hours, he and his team were able to identify loopholes in Internet Explorer, which they used to their advantage. Through this, they were able to retrieve about 60% of their users who had switched over to their competition, Bing. This move by Microsoft made the company of Google see the reasons for why it needed its own browser, and due to this, the development of Chrome began to intensify. Sundar was directly involved in the development of the browser, which was released to the public in 2008. Chrome became a huge success, as it ended up being a popular and widely used browser. An Astronomical rise. Sundar was soon promoted to the position of Vice President of Product Development, and with this came more responsibilities. He went on to oversee the development of numerous Google products, such as Google Maps, Gmail, and Google Drive. Sundar's popularity continued to grow at a fast rate within the tech industry. By 2011, word had gotten out that Twitter was actively pursuing him to give him a top role in the company. But in the end, he made the ultimate decision to continue with Google. In 2013, he took charge of Google's Android division, adding it to the list of products that he oversaw. And by 2014, he was made Google's product chief, making him the man in charge of all Google products and platforms. That same year, it got out that Google's competitor, Microsoft, was considering him for the role of its CEO. But yet again, Sundar chose to remain at Google, maybe due to rumors, according to which Google had to pay him a large sum of money to keep him there. In 2015, a restructuring took place at the company, which led to the creation of Alphabet Incorporated by Google's co-founders Larry Page and Sergey Brin. Google then became a subsidiary of the new company, and it now needed a new CEO. The role fell to Sundar, and this moment was of key importance in the man's life. Under his leadership, Google was taken to new heights. The company continued to research and look at groundbreaking technologies, including machine learning and quantum computing. In December 2019, Sundar was announced as the new CEO of Alphabet, replacing Page and Brin, who remained active as co-founders of the company. Sundar's success story is certainly an inspiring one. Through a combination of his excellent problem-solving skills, innovative mindset, and exceptional intellect, he beat the odds and went on to become one of the most powerful men in the sphere of technology. We hope this story got you inspired. And for more stories like this, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.